Welcome, Natalie Encarnacion. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
Good. I don't know why I said your full name, but it's good to have you, Natalie. So here's what we're going to do today. A little bit different. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to sign up kiddos into an after-school program without paying any rent money and not doing it in your house, but doing it at a local school. So it is that time of night. You're the popular lady. So Natalie has discovered this incredibly amazing strategy. Let me just give you the quick stats. She did this strategy. She created it, and she's going to reveal it to us, the secret strategy, how to create an after-school program. And in 3 hours, 7 people had paid for their spots, and then 16 kids enrolled in her program. How long did it take you to get 16 kids?
Oh gosh, maybe 4 days.
Okay, 4 days. In 4 days, 16 kids enrolled. And right now you have 16 kiddos on a wait list, right?
It actually grew yesterday to 20.
Okay, well, we should just talk tomorrow and it's going to be 30. Awesome. 20 kids on a wait list. So if you guys would like to know how to have 16 paid kiddos just like that in 4 days and have 20 kids on a wait list, just wanting to get into your next program, that's what Natalie's going to talk about. So let's bring this back one quick second, because you've been with us for a long time. In fact, she's on our team, and Natalie's my right-hand girl. You probably don't see her face a lot because she does all the operations of the business, but there would be no preschool system without Natalie. So we love her. So let's figure out here let's just do the quickest backstory of your experience with local and online preschool, and where you were looking for something to kind of give, you needed something to work out. So share that real quick with us.
Yeah, so I do local and I did online. I had to pivot because, of course, I started right after COVID hit, right? So COVID hit and I was like, oh man, I think everything shut down March 2020, and I planned to start September. And so I was freaking out. I was like, do I still open my preschool? What do I do? So I had to pivot, and I took distance learners for, they were doing learning at home for school. So I took elementary students, and that's kind of where the journey with elementary school students started. So I didn't want to mix age groups. So that first year I didn't take preschoolers in person because I had my elementary students. So I ended up teaching them online. If you guys have seen Joy's podcast, you'll see my online journey and my procrastination and all that good stuff. But I did end up doing online, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. But then I paused my online and went back to pursue preschool, local preschool, because that was my initial plan when I first, met Joy. The dream was in-person preschool, because I just felt that back then I was very camera shy. So I was like, I can't do online. I was like, I'm better in person. I make better connections in person. So I went back to local preschool, and I did that. It never grew as large as the online preschool did. And I still kept my school agers for before and after school for my club. So I created a club for them because they wanted to stay. And did in-person preschool. And then over the summer, I've just taken the last few months to see where I want to go from there. So I did everything according to plan, according to training. The 30-day challenge is the mecca for me. I love the 30-day challenge. That is the perfect challenge. So I went through it a few times, and then I'm like, okay, well, I've done it, according to plan for a couple years. Yeah. What do I want to do now? I was like, I'm ready to kind of pivot. I love change. So I'm like, where do I want to take this? Yeah. And then that's how I started thinking about the craft club, after the arts and crafts.
Absolutely. So here's what happened. I'm going to give the quickest rundown of what I've seen you do. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about it. So we just get right into the nitty-gritty. Okay. So the details are is that at a local school, mm-hmm. you can get your PTA to sponsor your after school club. And because they sponsor it, it's going to be free marketing, free rental space. They will send out the flyers, which is why you got so many kiddos signed up quick, because the flyers went into everybody's student folders.
Yeah.
And then on the flyers, you had put no information about yourself or your business, but it was just like, craft club, right? STEM craft club. And then it was $260 for 13 classes. So they had to pay all at once.
Yep.
You could offer a scholarship if they had like free or reduced, lunch. Maybe they could get some tuition off or something like that. And then all they did at the bottom of the flyer was a link to the registration page on the hub. Yep. The class was Thursday from 3:30 to 5, and it was K3. I say that really quick just so that everybody can kind of like outline this is the program. But now I want to back up, because for most of us, we're like, wait a second, PTA sponsored, like I didn't even know this was a thing. So let's back up. Were you part of the PTA? Like, how did you even get into the school to figure this out?
Yeah, well, it's the elementary school that my children attend. 2 out of 3 kids go there, and all my after school club kids that come to my house, they all go to the same elementary school. Okay. So I have about 5 or 6 years experience with the school just because of my kids, and my after school club kids all go to this school. So the PTA had been begging for me to come and PTAs are always begging for volunteers, by the way. So they know me. Everybody around here knows me. They're like, come volunteer. And I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Who wants more, extra responsibility? So last year I did volunteer for a very small role. And this year they're just kind of begging me to come and do more. So I didn't have a ton of experience with the PTA, but they're like, nobody will volunteer. We need somebody. If you don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And of course, that's like heartbreaking. I'm like, oh my God, these kids need programs. They knew exactly what to say to get me to commit to it. But I didn't know anything about it. I just know that elementary schools have after school programs at the end of the school day, because I've signed my own kids up for these programs before. So that's how I knew it existed. I've signed them up for them. It's easy. It just extends their school day. You don't have to drive them to lots of activities. So I've kind of had it on my mind for like the last year or so, kind of playing with the idea a little bit. It kind of sparked my interest. And then it just turned out that that's the role they wanted me to volunteer in, is bringing after school programs to the school. So that kind of gave me the courage to introduce my own.
So, let's bridge the gap here, because volunteer, everybody's ears are ringing, that equals free, but yet you're charging $260 for 13 classes of your STEM after school program Thursday for an hour and a half. What happened that we can charge now for this? I thought you were volunteering.
Yeah, so I volunteer to bring programs to the school, and I just happen to have a program that I want to put in the school. So I was like, okay, well, I'll volunteer, because I've been thinking about this for like a year, and this will train me on how to do the process really well, because it requires training, it requires reading regulation. And plus, when you're like in an organization that offers something, they're going to support you even more. So, so I did it just to learn the process. And gosh, I'm trying to think kind of how it's, here's the nitty gritty of it. The school isn't paying you to do anything. They're not losing anything of you offering your program. The parents are paying for everything. They're just providing you the space. And it's a win-win situation, because they want to provide good learning opportunities to their students. All right. It makes the school look good. It makes the children perform better. And it makes the parents really, 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 really happy to have good programs at the school that are affordable. Because if you did this at a studio space, I'd probably charge more than that. It's about an hour and a half a week, $20 a class. It probably costs more than that if you were like owned your own studio. So it's kind of a win-win. They're discounted classes for the students, and it's just a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that let's just say we're just us, right?
Yep.
We are not in the PTA currently, but maybe our kids go to the public school. What would you say our path would be? Like, what are our first kind of couple steps? Should we go volunteer at the PTA? Do we go straight to the principal? Like, what do we do?
Yeah, well, I did the volunteering for you, so I'll just tell you all the details. So step 1, you're not with the PTA. There's an elementary school that you want to kind of try your program out in. Yeah. You can literally go to their website and look at their directory and see if they have an after school programs coordinator on the PTA website. If you don't see that, look for a general PTA email address, PTA at whatever. Just look for a PTA email address, because it doesn't cost the school anything. So they want you to contact them, right? So it's not costing them money. This is great. So just email them and just say, hey, I have this type of program and I'd like to bring it to the school and to the students.
Right.
How can I make that happen? While you're waiting for a reply, go to your school district and research the regulation. Every county has their regulation. So type it in whatever county I'm in. Fairfax County. So Fairfax County Public Schools, so look up your county and put public schools at the end and look at the school board regulation. Type in after school programs, community use, and just read those regulations. They're usually pretty short for the school districts. And that kind of gives you an idea of what background checks will be required, if there's any rental fees. Do a little research. You can always ask the PTA coordinator when you talk to them, but not everybody knows like the ins and outs of it. So it never hurts to read the regulation on your own, because it's a volunteer position, right? So not all the volunteers know every single detail of the position they're volunteering for, right? So and they'll usually get back with you and they'll say, whether or not they have space, if they think your program's a good fit for the school. They will, for my school, all I had to do was give them a copy of my flyer, which I made in like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Cause I was like, I'll chicken out. So I'm like, I gotta get it in their hands real quick before I lose my nerve. So it's just like a 1-page form. Like, how much do you want to charge? My school regulation says I cannot charge more than $20 an hour. So technically I could have charged $30 for my class. But I never want to overprice. So I was like, I'd rather go low and then raise it the next session than start too high. And then I'm already off of the parents' radar,
Right.
So I initially was going to do $15, but then like my inner joy was like, okay, that's probably not, that's probably not enough. So I was like, I'm just going to do 20, no supply fee. Everything is wrapped up, right? Parents, we like it simple. Just give it to me. Simple, one fee. But so after working with vendors that work in the elementary schools that offer their programs, like they'll offer like taekwondo, chess, all kinds of enrichment classes for kids. The vendors, I found out they all charge everything up front. You pay for the whole session up front. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to do what the professionals do, right? So I charge for the whole session up front. And I'm telling you, these parents are glad to pay it.
Right. No, I mean, I think that's the point is like, number one, the kid gets, so dance or go through like, what would be a list of like, here's all the different kind of after school programs that maybe a school might really enjoy having their students go to. What would those maybe be?
So like chess club, surprisingly is very popular with schools around here. So it's going to be chess club, any kind of artistic club, like the arts and crafts club, art, anything fitness related. Like some schools will do yoga, Zumba, mixed sports where it covers basketball, baseball, just a whole bunch of mixed sports. What else do we have? We have a math club that comes in once a week. And of course, the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts are there too. I started 2 running clubs. We'll be starting there as well. Some science clubs. I mean, you literally can start anything. Think about any of the studios like around the elementary schools or that you send your kids to. Like they're in the business of doing those classes and they just offer like a discounted smaller program at the schools as an extension kind of their brand. So anything that you would pay to put your kids in, like you can offer that at the school as long as you're not doing anything with fire or like parachutes or skateboarding always like
right.
Anything.
During dance classes, Lego classes.
Lego, that's big. Lego is big.
Right. Okay. So then we put together a flyer and we pitch it to the PTA. And I think this is the point. The parents want to sign up. This is why you've had such a huge demand is because you've got parents who want their kids to be in these programs, but maybe they work or maybe they're like, man, if I just pick up my kid from school, then I got to go drive him 20 minutes to the dance class and then drive home, like versus dance check, right? Just done. Like, and it's probably less expensive. So that's why the parents sign up. But let's go back now to some of the benefits for you. Class size. So it's not like 12 students per class. Now, all of a sudden, what's your class size?
Think of public schools, guys. The ratio, teacher to student ratio in public schools are usually kind of high. So for my school district, it's 1 to 25. So I technically could have one of me and 25 students in my class.
Yeah.
I will not have 25 students, but I have that option of to have 25 kids in my club before I have to bring in somebody else to assist me.
Nice. Okay. And then we talked about how it's a PTA sponsored, which means the space is free, because I remember when we were doing our graduation, we could rent the school's cafeteria or their auditorium. So you can rent areas in the school after school hours. It's a completely done thing. People do it all the time. But because it's PTA sponsored, there's no rent. So you're getting in there for you just show up. That's awesome. And then you get all the money.
Yep. And then I'll tell you, like, PTA sponsored in my district means the PTA put their stamp of approval on it. They're not paying me anything. They're not paying the school for the space, because right now the space is empty. So the school's not making money on it or losing money on it. So when somebody takes up that space, they're not losing anything. The custodians are there. The building's open. It's not costing them anything to have me come in there and offer a service to their students.
Yeah, love that. And then, and they're not taking any of your money. It's all your money. The last thing I want to touch on is, you had mentioned in a previous live that you had said that you get to bypass the know, like, trust factor. Go ahead and talk on that.
Yeah. That's always kind of been a struggle for me. I'm very, very introverted. I can be shy. I'm not going out and talking to a ton of people. Like, we got to be realistic here. Like, it's not my wheelhouse. I'll do it a little bit. I've gotten better. But I've been pondering for the last few months on how to kind of make that aspect of business a little bit easier for me, given my personality. I was like, I don't want to be in pain. Like, how can I really find a good marketing strategy that works with kind of like how I am and what makes me comfortable? And so this has been really great for me, because like I said in my live video, is that you're kind of borrowing that know, like, trust factor. When the school puts their stamp of approval on you, the parents aren't researching you. They don't even know my name until I send them an email, because I already have the stamp of approval as a good provider, a good vendor for the school. So they didn't know my business name. They didn't know my name. They didn't know literally nothing. My flyer, you saw my flyer, Joy. I think last minute I put a tiny logo in the corner just so I could like somewhat put my business out there. But no, I put the price super big on there because I didn't want any issues with people and like the pricing. So it's the nice big fat price right in the middle of the flyer. And I just said what the club was about, and what kind of things we would be doing and how much fun the kids would have. And they just loved it. But it was a great way to bypass and borrow that know, like, trust factor from the school. And that was great. I love it.
Yeah. And as a bonus, Natalie is going to be giving everybody in Preschool All-Stars a copy of a flyer that you can immediately use that has all the right words in all the right places. So you're welcome, Preschool All-Stars. She's going to let us have that. So thank you, Natalie.
Yeah. And I'll tell you my cheat with flyers. I'm not a fan for sales pages. So when I did this for the school, I literally took my flyer and stuck it on a funnel page in the hub, and then just attached the form like under it. Like, that is the easiest thing I have for all my sales pages, is just put the flyer on there with a little form or survey at the bottom, and you're done. 10 minutes, guys. Like, don't spend too much time. Don't overthink it.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for sharing all your gold. You're amazing.
No problem. Have any questions, let me know. I'll answer them.
Awesome. All right, girl. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you, Joy.